Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, May the 19th already. Wow, the weeks are just going by fast, and it looks like I'm probably going to be here until maybe October. I don't know. Air Mexico keeps emailing me, changing my dates, and then giving me an open ticket, and I don't know what's happening. Anyways, God knows. As long as I'm here, I'm going to continue to do these videos. So we are in Daniel chapter 11. Now this chapter is a heavy chapter. There is so much information out there, so much prophecy. It's one of the most detailed prophetic chapters in the whole Bible of what's about to take place. And I did a lot of research. I have a lot of notes here, but I've decided that I'm not gonna share all my notes. Because if I do that, this video will be an hour and a half. It's one of the heaviest chapters out there. So what I'll do is I will post a link in the description box of the commentary that I read off of, which is excellent. I mean, it goes in a lot of detail, and you guys can research it yourself. So let's get into it. Verse 1. Also I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the fourth shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength through his riches he shall stir up all against the realm of Greece. And a mighty king shall stand up, which is Alexander the Great, that shall rule with great dominion, and do accordingly to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those. And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion. And 2 of Alexander's 4 generals that took over the kingdoms, one of them took over Egypt. They dominated Egypt, and another Syria. And those 2 generals in Syria and Egypt would constantly fight one another to try to take over one another. And as we read later, you'll see that they tried to merge forces through marrying off one of their daughters so that they can come together. But it didn't last long. Then they started to fight. And I believe that one of the daughters murdered the husband, and crazy. I mean, it's just, the history in this is phenomenal. How these kingdoms would just fight. And Israel was just in the middle between this kind of family feud here. Family feud of generals. Anyways, verse 6. And in the end of years they shall join themselves together. For the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. But she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand, nor his arm. But she shall be given up, and they that brought her, and he that begat her, and he that strengthened her in these times. But out of a branch of her roots shall one stand up in the estate, which shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal against them, and shall prevail. And shall also carry captives into Egypt their gods, with their princes, and with their precious vessels of silver and of gold, and he shall continue more years than the king of the north. So the king of the south shall come into his kingdom, and shall return into his own land. But his sons shall be stirred up, and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come and overflow and pass through. Then shall he return and be stirred up even to his fortress. And the king of the south shall be moved with choler, and shall come forth and fight with him, even with the king of the north, and he shall set forth a great multitude. But the multitude shall be given into his hand. And when he hath taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many 10,000s, but he shall not be strengthened by it. For the king of the north shall return, and shall set forth a multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and with much riches. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south. Also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves to establish the vision, but they shall fall. So this is a lot of Egypt, a lot of Syria fighting with one another, back and forth. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south. Also the robbers of the people shall exalt themselves to establish the vision, but they shall fall. So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount, and take the most fenced cities, and the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither his chosen people, neither shall there be any strength to withstand. But he that cometh against him shall do accordingly to his own will, and none shall stand before him. And he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do. And he shall give him the daughter of woman, corrupting her, but she shall not stand on his side, neither before him. After this shall he turn his face unto the islands, and shall take many, but a prince for his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease. Without his own reproach he shall cause it to turn upon him. Then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall and not be found. Now, I'm just going to pause at verse 19 for a sec. Everything that I'm reading you here, like within my notes and this commentary that I'll send you guys the link, it goes verse by verse in detail, explaining exactly like who these people exactly are, what happened to them, how they fell, how they died, how their heirs took over, and crazy. Verse 20, then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom, but within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. Here, I'll read the notes here of who that is. So in his place shall rise a vile person. So the angel told Daniel that after the brief reign of the former king of the north, the next king should be a vile person. He would not be recognized as royalty, but shall take power by intrigue. This was fulfilled in the successor of Seleucus III, named Antichrist IV. He did not come to the throne legitimately, because it was strongly suspected that he murdered his older brother, the previous king, the other potential heir, the son of Seleucus III, was imprisoned in Rome. Apart from the murder of his older brother, Antichrist IV didn't use terror to gain power. He used flattery, smooth promises, and intrigue. He flattered Humanness. Boy, these names are so big. Why couldn't they be named like John or Paul or Steve? Anyways, he flattered Humanness, king of Pergamos, and Attalus, his brother, and got their assistance. He flattered the Romans and sent ambassadors to court their favor and pay them the arrears of the tribute. He flattered the Syrians and gained their concurrence. So Antichrist IV took the title Epiphanes, meaning the illustrator. Others, there's a glare there. Others called him the bad man. All right, so let's continue in verse 22. And we know what he did on the altar of the Jews. Verse 22. And with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, ye also the prince of the covenant. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully. For he shall come shall come up and shall become strong with a small people. He shall enter peacefully, even upon the fattest places of the province. And he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them and prey, and spoil and riches. And he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army, but he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. They that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Now that's interesting, because this is talking about, here, I'll just read the notes here. The defeat of Antiochus Epiphanes at the second campaign against Egypt was important, because Egypt beat Antiochus with the help of Rome. At the end of it all, Antiochus Epiphanes and his kingdom were under the dominion of Rome. In a famous battle, the Roman navy defeated the navy of Antiochus Epiphanes. After the battle, a Roman general drew a circle around Antiochus in the dirt and demanded to know if he would surrender and pay tribute to Rome, and demanded to know before he stepped out of the circle. From that point on, there was no doubt Antiochus Epiphanes took his orders from Rome and was under Roman dominion. This was fulfilled in the treachery against Antiochus IV by his own counselors. All right. Okay. Now, I believe that this is where it shifts. So it shifts from Antiochus Epiphanes, and we know what he did in the Jewish temple, right? He was a foreshadow of the Antichrist. Now it's shifting into the last days, or it will shift here in a moment. Verse 28, then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits and return to his own land. That's what he did with the pig temple. That time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall be corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days. Now when they shall fall, they shall be hopeless with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. Verse 36, and the king shall do accordingly to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Okay, this is where it kind of transitions to the Antichrist in the last days. Now what's interesting is what I get by reading Daniel and my studying is that the Antichrist, through his ancestors, through his line, his ancestors go through this kingdom through Antiochus Epiphanes through to the Roman Empire. It's fascinating. I mean, like I said, this is a deep study of this chapter, but from what I get is that his bloodline comes through through one of these armies here that I read, through one of those generals, and then right to the control of Rome. I mean, it's fascinating. So that's why it shifts from what we were reading, now talks about the Antichrist in the last days. So he shall exalt and magnify himself above every god. So the angel Gabriel explained to Daniel that this king would blaspheme God and exalt himself until the wrath has been accomplished and what has been determined shall be done. Here we shift from what was fulfilled in the Ptolemies and Seleucids to what will be fulfilled in the Antichrist, the final world dictator. Daniel was told that this revelation pertained to the latter days. And it begins to look more towards this final world dictator who is a sort of a last day Antichrist Epiphanes. So we know everything about this prophecy was not fulfilled during the career of Antichrist Epiphanes, because Jesus specifically said the real abomination of desolation was still in the future, Matthew 24:15. The Apostle Paul paraphrased Daniel chapter 11, verse 36, in reference to the coming Antichrist. He says, "Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first." Now, I just want to stop right there because this is something interesting. And I've been seeing a lot on Facebook, people saying that the falling away in the Greek really means departure. So that's talking about the rapture. So basically, he's saying, let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come, the day of the Antichrist will not come unless the departure comes first, which is the rapture. Now, I don't know about that because I've been studying it, because I've always been taught, or from seeing some commentaries, that the falling away means people falling away from their faith. When you see all that starting to happen, which we're seeing right now in the last days, then you know that the Antichrist will come. But it is fascinating, because I have been doing my study, that falling away in Greek does mean departure. And I would encourage you guys to do your own research. So if that is true, if that departure actually means rapture, then it's read like this: let no one deceive you by any means, for the day will not come unless the rapture comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worship, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Fascinating. I don't know. If you guys know anything about that, please share in the comment section, because I am open to that. If that indeed means departure, really means what it means in Greek, then that would even make more sense, that the rapture first has to come and then the Antichrist gets revealed. But anyways, please share your thoughts on that. I always get this word tongue twisted. Antichrist Epiphanes is important, but mostly as a historical preview of the Antichrist. This is why so much space is given to describing the career of one evil man, because he prefigures the ultimate evil man. And Antichrist Epiphanes is like the trailer released well before the Antichrist, who is like the feature. And the Antichrist should come through his line. He shall exalt and magnify himself above every god. Antichrist Epiphanes certainly did this in the general sense that all sinners oppose God, yet he remained loyal to the Greek religious traditions, which revered the entire Olympian pantheon. Antichrist Epiphanes put a statue of Zeus in the temple, not of himself. This statement will be far more precisely fulfilled in the Antichrist, who sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, as it says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. Now, verse 37. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of woman, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. So he will honor a God with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. So, based on this, some Bible scholars believe that the Antichrist will be of Jewish descent. So he'll have a bit of Jewish blood in him. And perhaps will also be a homosexual. That's what some scholars say, because he will have no regard for women. Or the other thing is that he will also take on the God of Islam, that he will actually be a Muslim, but hidden. So like a Muslim in the closet, so that he could deceive the Jews in believing that he's their Messiah. And then after he earns their trust, they build the temple, he sits in the temple, then he turns on them and he reveals his true Islamic belief, that he's Allah sitting in the temple. That's possible too. But these things may not be popularly known about the man, but they may be true nonetheless. We don't know. But I believe that he's going to come out of Rome. So I believe that he, we have a culture now that have different, we have different, what do you call it? I can't even think right now. We have different genes within us, different genetics of different people groups because of travel and stuff. And so I believe that this Antichrist will have different roots within him. But many commentators believe that the desire of woman, now this is interesting, I don't know if it's true, but believe that the desire of woman refers to, or shall not have the desire of woman, refers to Jesus, in that all women desired the honor of bearing the Messiah and understanding desire as it is used in Haggai chapter 2 verse 7. Seeing the desire of woman as Jesus makes most sense in the light of the flow of context. I don't know about that, but interesting. He shall honor a God of fortresses. The Antichrist will take and hold power with military might and the shrewd use of great riches. And again, like I said, it's possible he will merge and lead the Islamic faith. Because to be a Muslim doesn't mean that you have to be Middle Eastern or brown or that of origin. It's not a race. The highest percentage of Muslims are in Indonesia, and they're Asian. So anyone could be a Muslim or take on the Islamic faith. So that's why I'm saying it's possible. Verse 40, and at that time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships. And he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver, and over all precious things of Egypt. And the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. But the tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy, and utterly to make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace, between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. So, the angel described to Daniel a confederation of kings coming against this great leader with a battle in and near the Holy Land. Prophetically speaking, a precise identification of peoples mentioned is difficult. The king of the south may be Egypt or represent the Arab community. The king of the north may be the Antichrist's domain as the new Antichrist Epiphanes, or it may be Russia. It's really difficult to tell at this time, but the precise points may be cloudy, but the general idea is clear. The end will be marked by great conflict, culminating in the world's armies gathering in the promised land to do the final battle. So we know that that's going to come, and we know that the Antichrist's plans will eventually fail, because the King of Kings is coming on his white horse with his heavenly host, and he will destroy the Antichrist and his army, just like that. And that day may come very soon. I mean, I believe that Jesus is at the doorstep. All of the prophecies, all of Matthew chapter 24, which possibly I'll do a video in the very near future. But anyways, Matthew 24 prophecies are pretty much already fulfilled. Like, we're already there before the coming of Jesus. Israel is already back in her land. She has her nation back. All the nations in the Middle East are at war with each other. There are wars and rumors of wars. There are increase of earthquakes and birth pains all over, and people's behaviors, I mean, many of them are under a strong delusion. The Bible also says that in the last days people will be under a strong delusion, and only those with discernment, with the wisdom and knowledge of God, can see all of this happening. I mean, when a people are now accepting pedophilia with their children and allowing this perversion to be taught in the schools, that a 5-year-old can have a sex change, I mean, there is something really seriously wrong. And people are accepting this. Even the parents are accepting this. And I mean, we're seeing even little kids being dressed up as transgenders, and they're doing sexual dances around perverts. I mean, that is just pure evil, and nobody's doing anything about it. So the strong delusion is here, folks, and if you're watching this video and you still haven't given your life to Jesus, I don't know what else to say. I would say do it soon, because if not, God knows when he is going to step back from you, and you will be under the strong delusion yourself. Anyways, I'm just telling you what the Word of God says, and it's true. It's coming. It's already here. And so everything is pretty much already in place. It's ready to go. And we are waiting for that last Gentile, as Paul says in the book of Romans. When that last Gentile gives his life to Jesus, that's when Jesus comes back for his bride. And then all hell is going to break out on the earth. You think it's like hell now? You think it's bad now? You just wait until what's about to come. But you can escape that. You can get on the ark, just like Noah back in his days. He was a preacher of God, and he was preaching to all the people. Repent, turn from your sins, come to God, get on the ark. And all they did was they mocked and scoffed him. They laughed. They ridiculed him, because they too were under a strong delusion. And when God told Noah, that's it, time is up, get on the ark, the Bible says that God closed the door of the ark, and then he sent the floods, and everyone was wiped out. And that's what's coming in these very last days. Actually, I believe Jesus is at the doorstep, because everything is already into place. So get on the ark of God, which is Jesus Christ, before it's too late. Well, God bless you guys, and tomorrow is the final chapter, chapter 12. It's the shortest chapter. It's only 12 verses, and it's one of my favorites. And we will see the parallel between that and the book of Revelation. So I'm excited for that. So we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you guys.